I've been at Stiltz for very nearly 6 years now. I joined in the middle of 2017. I'd worked with Mike Lord many years before in another local company, also in the same sort of field. I'd liked the way that Mike ran the company. I liked the ethos of the company. I liked the attitude towards product development. And more recently in 2017 I was working for another local company, again making equipment for people with disabilities. Through a mutual contact, Mike got in contact with me and asked whether I'd like to come and work at Stiltz. And because of the very positive experience I'd had previously, then it was a very, very easy decision to make. So I said yes almost before I'd asked. I'm heading towards retirement. I have little more than a year to go. I don't want to come into a cliff edge type situation whereby I'm working at full speed, full engagement, with all the stresses and the satisfactions that go with that, and then just to suddenly come to a stop. That would leave me feeling that I was abandoning friends and colleagues at work, abandoning the department, not knowing what was going on, the feeling of unfinished business. So I'd much rather actually have a phase out situation where I can gradually slow down a little, hand over some of the responsibilities, get other people to do things. From my point of view, reducing my time now leads into that, but it also gives me personally more free time. My weekends have gone from 2 days to 3 days, so I get 50% more time. That allows me to spend more time doing my major hobby outside of work, which is gardening. It also allows me to spend more time with my wife, going out and doing things, and it gives me more time to do the DIY type jobs at home that have to be done without the stress of having to finish them by Monday morning. So it just seems to me to be a sensible thing to reduce my time now, for me to get used to it a little, and for other people to get used to it as well. The reaction from Stiltz in terms of reducing working hours was very positive, and in particular from the board members. I've known Mike, our CEO, for around about 20 years. And I have absolute trust in him, and that meant that I was able to start a very open conversation about the subject of my retirement around about 2.5 years ago, so 3.5 years before I was due to leave. And because we were able to discuss that openly, then it allowed us to talk about who should replace me, how we should phase that in, how we should change people's responsibilities, how the department would be run. And then other people have got to know, because it's no secret, it's quite open, that I will be retiring. It was in fact Mike who suggested that I drop down to 4 days a week from a particular point, and that has allowed other people to begin to get used to this, to open up new lines of communication, to learn more about particular aspects of products and projects. Stiltz very much wants to develop people from within, to promote within. We have this acronym of SMAC, and the C in that is challenged, and the K in that is knowledge. And certainly as I withdraw bit by bit and other people have to step up to it, then they are challenged and they do become more knowledgeable. But it certainly does help with the philosophy of developing people and bringing people on within the department and within the company. So, as I've said, I didn't want the end of my working life to be a sudden cliff edge. I didn't want my colleagues to be taken by surprise. So, because everybody has known for a little while that I'll be leaving next year, they are already adapting to a post-Greg situation. I'm still here for a while to guide them, but the engineers in the department and other people from other departments and around my department are learning now to ask different people for information, to come to people to put problems. People are learning to answer those problems, learning about products or aspects of products that they didn't know about before, and responding to requests for help. So actually my gradual withdrawal from it is encouraging other people to play bigger roles and take up more responsibility. Outside of Stiltz, then my major hobby, my really all-consuming passion is gardening. I have a fairly large garden out in rural Shropshire where we're surrounded by fields and hills. The garden started off really as a field, and bit by bit I'm developing it into a productive area with vegetable beds, but also an orchard, and areas with flower beds and with shrubberies. We're putting in a wildlife pond, and I'm very happy to spend a great deal of time outside in my garden. In addition to that, I'm fascinated by the local wildlife around me. We have many species of birds. I've been actually keeping a tally, and so far this year, in and around my garden, I've seen 37 different types of birds. We encourage them as much as I can. At the moment, we have nest boxes within sight of the kitchen window that have blue tits, great tits and sparrows in. In one of the outbuildings, we have a robin's nest, and another one we have pied wagtails, and we have swallows, and I love to see them all. And in addition to that, then around the garden, we often see hares, and we're really lucky because in that lockdown year of 2000, when we all spent so much time at home, I spent time at home watching hares and watching leverets. Leverets are very young hares, they're baby hares, and we discovered leverets in the garden that were, in the first place, probably only 1 or 2 days old, and then we were able to watch them over the coming weeks as they developed and became adult hares. And this year again we have leverets in the garden, and I find it absolutely fascinating to see them.